Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central Time, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You can find us on television, syndicated, found on Abundant Television. That's Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. All the social media sites, facebook.com/D Fiesel. You can find us that way and continue sending emails. You know, that makes my day. My email address is donna@donnasedge.com. That's donna@donnasedge.com. I got my buddy Gunny with me right now. He's with the Patriot cause. And it's so good to be with you today, Gunny.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you so much for your service. I don't think I tell you enough. Thank you for your service.
I really do appreciate that. What I like about it is I'm realizing over the years when somebody says it, I can tell that they really mean it compared to just say, because a lot of people just say it because it's a thing to say, I guess, but even if one person appreciates us, it makes a big difference.
Well, I know two people, and that's me and Phil and a lot more. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep.
We've moved to South Carolina. And in the Abbeville area, and I'm just going to tell you, there's a lot of military people out there. Every time we go out to eat, and Phil and I always thank everybody for the service. Every time we see somebody with a cap on, or we know that they've been in the military. But that's a common thing there. The people there are so patriotic.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here in Alabama. It's just everywhere you go, if you got any kind of indication that you're a veteran, they'll come at you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
In a good way.
Absolutely. Okay. So what do you think about our president, Donald J. Trump? What do you think about his eagerness and how he's getting things done?
I didn't expect this. I didn't expect it at all. I mean, this is crazy how fast this is going down. Absolutely insane. Now, I would have to say this, getting these cabinet member stuff through Senate, that was ridiculous. And it only happens to conservatives. That's what I hate about it. Right? When Biden picked his cabinet people, which pushed him right through, we didn't harass them and see if they, smoked pot when they were 15, those kind of things, right? But these autocrats is what they are. They're deranged people in my mind. Some of them are absolutely insane because they don't know the difference between, in my mind, they don't know the difference of what you're doing is not for you. Never has been, never should be. But that's not what it is. These people are in Congress for themselves, period. They could care less. And the system is so corrupted and hosed up, these people can still get reelected. I think it's a mob thing. Kind of like think about the mobs, right? You know what I mean? Like, you don't vote for him, well, what's going to happen? You're going to lose your house.
People are threatened with their businesses. Now where I'm at in Abbeville, which is close to Greenville, Anderson, South Carolina, all those places out in there, businesses don't care. They will just get right out there and I saw Trump signs all over businesses. There was a pizza place we drove by, and it was a guy, independent guy. Place was crowded. And on the marquee, it said from the jailhouse to the White House. This was before the election. From the jailhouse to the White House. And then he puts, I'm a Trumpster. And then he has all over his van. I mean, there's just like Trump stuff all over it. People out in there don't care. I mean, they just go for it. So I asked the realtor, I said, and she's a Trumpster, by the way. So I asked the realtor, I said, I've just noticed it's not quite that way with businesses where I'm from. They're Trumpsters, but they're almost in the closet about it because they're afraid it's going to affect their businesses. Right. And she said, people around here don't care. And I said, are there any liberals here? And she said, yeah, there's a few. And we're nice to them.
And we're nice to them.
And we're nice to them. Yeah. But she said they're not as bad as a national liberal, they're not as bad as a Nancy Pelosi,
right,
or an AOC or somebody. They're not like, Kamala Harris. They're nothing like that. They see that they're benefiting from having Trump in as president.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you want to rock that boat?
Well, that's a whole nother story right there. Think about how irrational thought that is. When you're saying, I don't want the government to become efficient. Doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Let me say this. Okay, so I did not vote for Joe Biden. I was not going to vote for Kamala Harris. I was just, no, I just didn't. And there was a time when Daddy Bush was running against Clinton. I didn't like either one of them, so I voted for Ross Perot. I have to vote who I like. It can't be just because it's got an R in front of it.
Right.
So when Biden was president, I didn't wish ill will on him. I prayed for him. I wanted the guy to do well because I didn't want my business to fail. So why are people not praying for Trump? Why are there still a few out there who want to watch him crash? When you watch, that's called cutting off your nose to spite your face. I mean,
again, I have a hard time. I really do, trying to figure these people out, because I look at it. I look at it this way. Was it how the person was raised, or combination of things, or did God just make this person absolutely stupid? Which one is it? Because when I'm talking to them, and God bless them, don't none of y'all listeners get me wrong. I love everybody. I really do. But sometimes when you're talking or listening to some of these people, you grind your teeth. I mean, that's how bad it is. It's just like, what is wrong with these people?
But
we have to listen to that every day.
You can't argue with stupid. You just can't argue with stupid. If somebody has their mindset about something a particular way, you can't change their mind. The only thing you can do is be nice and smile at them and say, when you're ready to hold a civil conversation, I will talk with you. But until then, forget it. I'm not going to argue. I don't see the point.
And the other thing, too, is I've done a lot of research on communism. And my whole podcast is really based upon, the fact that we have so many communists, not only in our country, but in our government. And what I've learned through multiple sources, books and watching videos.
Like real stuff, real information.
Right.
Yeah.
That once a person submits and becomes a communist and thinks that way, they never go back. Mm-hmm. You can't, there's nothing you could ever tell them to convince them that their frame of mind is wrong. Nothing.
I have so many friends who are conservatives. They're not necessarily card-toting Republicans. I'm not a card-toting Republican. I'm a conservative, and I love my country. I'm a MAGA, make America great again. I am that. Mm-hmm. But I know so many people who have kids that went off to college. The kids were fine until it's almost like it's cool to be stupid. Like the movie stars. They say things that make absolutely no sense whatsoever, and you're just like, do you think it's popular to be stupid? I mean, what's wrong with you? My son went to seminary. Now there's some liberals teaching seminary students too. I mean, you can't get away. Yeah. They're all over the place.
Oh yeah.
I raised my son to be a free thinker. I wanted him to think on his own, even though he went to seminary. I said, son, you need to think of your own. Well,
you have to understand, education is supposed to be about receiving and talking about knowledge, right? You're not supposed to be educating students outside of what they're getting, what they're paying for. This is not how liberals think. Liberals want to tell you everything. They want to teach you everything. They want to control everything.
Your mind. They want to control your mind.
Your mind and everything else. They absolutely love power. And the reason behind that, take this to the bank if you want to. I am absolutely convinced that the majority, vast majority of the leftists in this country are atheists or don't believe in God at all. Because how can you act that way if you believed in God? Even if you just believed in God, some of the things that these people do, you would not do that. Because one thing, God wouldn't let you do it.
No.
You know?
No, a ceiling would fall in on me. I mean, God would let me have it with both barrels. I mean, I'm just telling you that. But what do you say, though, so someone who's a communist, and I'm going to take it a step further. I know you say they don't believe in God. There are a lot of people who are worshiping Satan. You see that in a lot of companies. They're just symbolisms. There are things that let you know that. Do you think Satan has leashed out demons on us?
Oh, absolutely. If that was not true, then you need to explain to me this. How can a woman cut the head off her baby, decapitate her baby? Explain that to me if there is no Satan demons in people. Mm-hmm. It makes no sense. But that's happened multiple times. You know?
And they're coming after Christians, and they know you. They know you're one of them crazy idiot Christians, you know.
I know this sounds weird, but sometimes I struggle harder now as a Christian, you know, in my soul, and you know, because I'm recognizing a lot of the actions that I did in the past and try to avoid now. But sometimes I feel, you know, more pressure, psychologically wise, I guess, or, you know, emotional wise too, than I did before I got saved. Because I realize now how bad things are. When you know that,
you're seeing
right?
it.
That's what I'm saying. Your eyes are opened up and you're understanding.
It's almost scary.
By the way, the Bible says this world is corrupt. It tells you that. Well, now I can see why it says that.
Well,
you know?
Okay. So why should we be shocked about our government being so corrupt? Why should we be shocked?
That's true. We shouldn't be, because the people that are in there were voted by the same people that are like them. That's why they're there. If you go and look at all of them, you know, the Shifty Shift and, you know, all of those, right? Look where they're from. Look at their districts, big cities, big areas, you know, that are. So who are the people that live there? Leftists, the majority of them. They, you know, they like that. Oh, going back to the discussion where you're talking about people worshiping Satan, right? Human beings, majority of us want to be or do something that people around us accept. We want to be liked. Mm-hmm. So the first way to do that is to become part of some organization, some cult, or some, you know, to fulfill that need of, you know, I'm part of this group. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily believe that all these, quote, Satanists are real Satanists, if you know what I mean. I don't think they even believe in Satan. They're just doing the actions because they enjoy doing it, you know. But a Christian's different. A Christian is absolutely different. Mm-hmm. We don't just necessarily do it because we want attention, right? Because we don't have to worry anymore about getting attention from somebody else, because we have God's full attention now. Mm-hmm. He loves us more than anybody else could. So as a Christian, the way I look at it is we're not in it for ourselves. It's the exact opposite. We're now people that support and love others. That's our goal in life, is to take care of other people, help people, and, love your neighbor, that kind of stuff. So there's a difference when you're talking about the religions and, those kind of things.
Well, see, that's the whole point. There are religious people. I'm not a religious person at all, but I'm a Jesus lover. I'm a Jesus follower.
I know what you mean by that. I know exactly what you mean by that.
There's a big difference, because there are people who lie about you. I know you find this as a shock, but there are people who lie about you. The most people I've met, the people who do that are the people who actually go to church. They use it as a form of gossip. So here's what I've seen people do. They'll get up, like in prayer meeting, they'll get up and say, I want everybody to pray for Susie Smith. And then somebody will want that. It's like they got to tell you why. Well, it's because Susie Smith's not married and she just got pregnant. Well, isn't that a form of gossiping? I mean, do you have to tell it that way? I just want to know the proper way. I mean, I pray for that person. I don't have to get up into the church and say, pray for Susie Smith. She just found herself pregnant. I don't have to do that. I just pray for Susie Smith that she makes the right decision and doesn't get an abortion and doesn't, Right. And I'm going to tell you, I'm just telling you this right here. People make mistakes and they do stupid stuff. I've done stupid stuff myself, and I continue to do so because I'm a human. Not that bad, but I'm just talking about I do dumb things. Right. So there's a woman, the women that get pregnant and they're not married and they decide to have that baby, they're heroes in my mind.
Yeah.
They could do the alternative. They could have an abortion.
When I was in California, I used to play in the what they call a co-ed softball league, right? Mm-hmm. So you had guys and girls on the same team type thing. And I was the coach of this co-ed team. And one of the ladies that played had 4 children, right? However, she's not married. Mm-hmm. And she had all 4 of those kids. All 4 of them are in a very healthy family, and she has no contact with any of them. So here's my point. My point is, obviously, she, I don't know if she just likes to have sex or if she wanted to have kids, just didn't want to be married. But anyway, the point is, she ensured that baby was taken care of and given to a good home, and and stayed out of the way of that child growing up. So, I think that's different.
That's special. That's a hero. You want them to have a better life. Yep. I mean, and he didn't destroy their lives, but taking. But then you have these liberals who are for women's rights, and I want to be able to have an abortion. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do that. Well, okay. What about? And this has always been my argument. Okay, you want women to have rights. Well, what about the little baby that happens to be a girl? Does that little girl have rights? Did you just take away her rights?
Exactly. That's what they did. Now, before I became a Christian, and of course, being in the Marines for 20 years, there's a lot of stuff I could care less about. Right? I didn't care. I didn't worry about all that stuff. I had, I was a Marine doing Marine stuff. Mm-hmm. So when somebody started talking abortion, whatever, look, I don't care. That's how I used to be.
I used to be the same way.
Yeah, but now I'm like completely against it. Right. And they're saying, well, what about, medical issues or whatever? Well, I'm not qualified to make that determination, but if a doctor, a real doctor, an honest doctor says, this is going to be a very complicated pregnancy or whatever, then go from there. But because a lot of babies are C-section babies, right? So there's no excuse to not have the baby other than you don't want it. That's the way I look at it.
That's exactly how I look at it as well. Because I thought, okay, so when I was in school, there were 2 girls I went to school with, and I think we were in like the 9th grade. It was like the 9th or 10th grade. Well, 2 girls I went to school with were pregnant. And so they went and had abortions. And I didn't think anything of it. I mean, I just thought, well, it's just another form. It's like taking the pill. I mean, it's just another form because that's how we were told. That's what the liberal media has not just started with Barack Obama. It started a long
time ago,
1970s. Okay, so I'm just thinking, well, they shouldn't have done it, but it's like taking the birth control pill, no biggie, But now this is the argument that I have about that. Okay, so now that we can see the baby on sonogram, now that we can see the baby in the mother's womb and it's sucking its thumb, now that we can see there's twins and they're holding hands, and I love this. The people I went to school with who are having grandkids now, I love it when they put the sonograms of the grandchildren on Facebook. I mean, I just get a kick out of it. I get to say, there's a little baby. You can't argue that point anymore. It's not birth control.
Yeah, absolutely. What I like about it, not like about it, but what I hate about it, what I think is very destructive to the female, right? The woman, is she has the abortion. And you can't tell me that is not stuck in her mind for the rest of her life. You can't. Unless that person is just that evil, where life means nothing. Because I just can't see being, of course, I'm not a woman, but I can't see being pregnant and thinking that I don't want to have the baby because of me. It's going to ruin my life and, those kind of things. So
when you start having kids, it's not your life anymore anyway.
I know, but this is how these people think.
Okay.
Also, let me ask you this question real quick. How many people do you think are pressured by the groups that they're with to get an abortion?
How many people
they probably don't even want it
by their own parents? Yeah. Okay, so I've heard this. Okay, I've heard this a lot. So back in the 40s and 1950s, abortions went on then too. But what would generally happen, the girl didn't get an abortion, the whole family would quote unquote move away. And the mother, the grandmother, it would be that she had the baby. And quote unquote, she had it instead of the daughter, Of course, the daughter would come back and gained weight and all that. Nobody figured it out. But anyway, that happened a lot back in those days. They would cover it up. Then the child grows up and they find out who they thought was their sister was actually their mother. I mean, so through life, through ever, since life has been created on earth, people have thought of things like that. Because we're so concerned about, instead of pleasing God, we're concerned about pleasing people.
Absolutely.
And that's where it comes into how the way we think nowadays. Okay, the churches don't want to be involved in politics because they're afraid they're going to lose some of the biggest donors, and that could be a Democrat.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to money. I think it comes down to money coming into the church. It
absolutely does. Have you heard I don't know the preacher's name. I mean, he's a black preacher in a black church, and basically during service telling everybody that Elon Musk and Donald Trump should be killed.
Oh,
you hear about that?
So you're a preacher and you're inciting violence. You're inciting death.
Yes, he is. That's what I'm saying. It's just,
if I went to that church, even if it's a white church, I go to a church and the pastor says something like that, I'm getting out of there because he may pull a gun out and shoot us all if he believes in shooting people.
You never know.
When did that happen? I haven't heard of
this was a couple of weeks ago, I think,
okay,
give or take. I'll see if I can find the video.
Send it to me.
And I'll send it to you. This TDS thing, Trump deranged syndrome. I guess it's not a bad idea to call it something, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is nothing more than, how when a child doesn't get something that they want, they throw fits.
Little tempers. Mm-hmm.
Right? Tempers and stuff like that. That's what these people are doing. They didn't get what they wanted. So now they're throwing tantrums and stuff. And I'm on Getter all the time, and a lot of Getter people will take TikTok videos and put on there, right, of the liberals, go, melting down and stuff. Mm-hmm. This one lady, well, I'm going to say young girl, probably in her 20s. She's crying. I mean, you can see emotionally rise. You can see it's real. I mean, she's like crying away. And what she's talking about is that Donald Trump is taking all this money away that was helping all these people around the world. She says, I don't got no problem paying my taxes and paying money to other people across the world and so forth. So, I mean, she's just bawling. And what they don't realize is that money's not going where they think it's going. It's doing a U-turn and going right into politicians' pockets.
Yeah.
Right? But you could never explain that to her.
She'd never get it. Okay, we'll just start with the Clinton Foundation. All the money that was supposed to have went to the hurricane in Haiti. You remember a couple decades ago? Was? Okay, if I were a person who had given to that, and I found out that a couple mil went to Chelsea Clinton's wedding, I'd be pretty upset. I'd be pretty like, hold it. A couple $1 million could have helped with some much better living conditions than they have right now. I've not seen where anything is better in Haiti. That's why they keep coming here.
Well, yeah. And it is a terrible, terrible place. I've seen pictures, videos.
Well, the Clinton Foundation was supposed to make it better.
I think some people think it's actually worse than, because of the hurricane and everything, and it didn't get
because nothing has been repaired. Now maybe some rich people who live there, it probably helped them in their businesses, but I doubt that the regular walking around gum chewing person like me got any help whatsoever. Let's go ahead and go into a commercial break. We're going to be right back in just a few minutes. Everybody hang in there. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of the Cobb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. You can find us on television, Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You can also find us on all the social media sites. We're all over it. Getter, the whole works. X, we're on X as well. And you can also find us on podcasts on thenewscasters.com. Now, Gunny, the Patriot cause, he also has a podcast. Now, you're on actually the Newscasters as well.
I am, yep.
It's a good one. I'm loving it because you can get on this podcast and you can speak the truth and nobody like nobody hammers me. Murray has not the first time said be a little more gentle because I've worked with TV stations before. I've worked for TV stations. The one in Charlotte, it was like you need to simmer down just a little bit. I mean, it was just like telling me, and I'm like, for what? They would say you're just getting just a little bit too conservative. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? I'm not a liberal. And so I love the base. I love the folks who watched it and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes it didn't work out. So I'm glad to be with the Newscasters, and I'm also glad to be with Abundant Television. Rob Patz owns that, and found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. So I'm really pleased. Let me ask you a question. Okay, so Facebook is supposed to be a little better than it was, a little. I've not noticed a whole lot of changes. I still get stuff like I'm not, they're fact checkers or I'm not telling the truth on something when I know darn well I am telling the truth. Still.
Well, I can't validate.
It's a little better.
Well, I don't know because I stopped using it in 2019. Mm-hmm. I'm no longer part of Facebook. I left in 2019. Haven't turned back since. Now my wife uses it, so I could probably talk to her about it. But now, when you're talking about a little better, are you thinking that they're allowing more free speech and that kind of
a little
stuff?
more?
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's getting a little better. Now I still get fact checkers.
Well, yeah.
It was something I put about the insurrection, and they had to. I wasn't telling the truth, and I was telling the truth. So anyway,
well, let's talk about this because this is a very interesting subject for a lot of people, and it's very important. I think what we're talking about here is social media, freedom of the press and so forth and so on, right? Mm-hmm. So some people believe, even some conservatives believe, that we shouldn't be saying X things on social media, right? So some conservatives believe that we're supposed to filter ourselves. And I think to some point we do that.
Yeah, we don't need to say cuss words and stuff like that.
Right. Well, what I'm talking about is, political views, telling people you want to kill them, on and on and on, right? So, but what you were talking about is you were talking about a subject of something that happened, and you're telling them what you think happened. You know what I'm saying? And they're attacking you for that. That's wrong in my mind. However, so here's what it all boils down to. You have to have it all or none. I know this sounds funny, but that's the only way freedom of speech works. You cannot, now it doesn't mean that if somebody tells somebody, intentional harm and all that stuff, we can't react to it, right? But you don't go shut down a social media site because,
I've been shut down. They've taken me off.
But the reason they are able to do that is because, again, they have this terms agreement document that's 6,000 pages long or whatever. And it could just be one little paragraph in there or one little sentence in there that you didn't read that you just broke, and they'll yank it away from you. Because you have to admit, it is a public company, right? Or a private company. Okay. And they have the right to refuse service to anyone.
Yeah, but I've been in more trouble though, Gunny, about saying something about the jab than anything.
Oh, I'm sure.
That's what's taken me off several times.
But if you go to get her, talking about the insurrection, January 6th, all of these things, it's all over get her. Mm-hmm. Nobody's taking off because of stuff like that. You are going to be taken off if you threaten people or, that kind of stuff.
Well, you should be. If you're going to threaten people, you need to be taken off of anything, which is not happening.
Well, that's why it's called social media, right? You're supposed to be socializing, not trying to choke each other to death.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, I don't think anybody needs to be threatening anyone. I mean, that's nuts. As a matter of fact, on my Facebook page, and I've got liberal friends, and so what I do, and I don't go to their site, I don't go to their Facebook page or any of their social sites, and I don't put my view in there. I just don't, because they're not going to go my way. They're not going to. But they've been pretty good at going on mine and putting what they view. And this is what I always do. I don't argue, because I don't argue with stupid. So what I do is I just go ahead and I say, I love you, Chandler.
Yep.
We're still friends. I'm not going to let a little thing like this ruin our friendship, Chandler.
Absolutely not.
That's one of them.
Not. Well, you have to look at it this way. If we felt bad about people like that, especially like in my case, right, then I would have to absolutely separate myself from my daughter. And I'm not going to do that.
No.
My daughter is definitely a liberal in North Carolina, Charlotte, right?
Oh, that's where I'm from. Yeah.
Yeah. And she, Let
me ask you a question.
She says some stuff. She is definitely, scrambled eggs.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Okay. So when Obama was president, was she living there when Obama was president?
She was in college.
Okay. All right. She can tell you the truth about this. Okay. So we were living in Charlotte. It was during the Democratic convention, and it was supposed to be at where the Panthers play in their stadium. And have you ever been to the Panthers stadium in Charlotte?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Gosh, it's huge. Okay. So it was supposed to be there. Well, they didn't have as many people showing up for it as they were expecting. So they decided to say, well, there's thunderstorms and tornado warnings out. That's what they said that day. Well, Mother calls. Mother's living in Alabama. And Mother says, are you taking cover? And I said, because I was working. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know this was going all over the news. They were talking about tornado warnings and everything else in Charlotte, North Carolina. So she thought I was just trying to, like she don't worry about me or something. And I said, Mother, the sun is shining. I don't see a cloud in the sky. What are you talking about? I said, are you sure they said Charlotte? And she said, yes, they said a tornado is about to land. So what they're having to do is take it from the Panther Stadium and put it in the Cricket Stadium because and it's much smaller. I mean, you could fit 4 of the Cricket Stadiums in the Panther Stadium. I mean, that's what they were doing. They were saying that we're having nasty weather. Did your daughter not wonder about that? I mean, it was just like, no, I don't know. There's no bad weather. I mean, the sun is shining. I even had to take pictures and send Mother text pictures. Do you see a cloud? I mean, there were no clouds in the sky. We were living in Charlotte when that happened, Gunny. No thunderstorm. And then I sent, Phil was at work. So I sent him a message and I said, are you seeing something I'm not seeing? Mother's called. She's going to pieces saying that there are thunderstorm warnings and there are tornado warnings. And so he worked for Target. He did the computer stuff, those scans. That's what he did at Target. And when you scan stuff. And he said, all these liberals around here are talking about we got tornado warnings. And I said, but we don't. There's no tornado headed this way. I know because I lived in Alabama for a long time. I know about tornadoes and what they look like. So that was a lie, see? They were getting that lie. So people all over the country really believed that they took it away from the Panther Stadium. They didn't know why. It's because people weren't showing up in droves like they thought they would. And it would make them look bad not to have the whole Panther Stadium full of Democrats.
Yep. It's crazy. It just tells you they'll believe anything.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you grew up in the South, you really know what a tornado is.
I know about tornadoes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I've seen them. I've been
in one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I haven't been in one, but I've seen them. But I will have to say this. If I look up in the sky and there ain't a cloud in the sky and it's sun is out or whatever, I have enough common sense to know for a fact there's no way a tornado is going to come down out of the blue sky, right? So, so as soon as you looked up there, what you would put in your mind, you're going, that's a lie. That's stupid. Nope. They still believe it. Isn't that crazy?
It's the craziest thing on earth. And several things, like I have friends who live and they're not as liberal as they were, who live in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm just telling you, I'm throwing it out there. That was man-made. I'm sorry. I know I sound like a crack. I sound like a nut, but I just do. And you being in the military, you probably know this. Sometimes weather is done that way.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, government can make something. They can make it rain. They really can.
They can. I didn't believe that for years, but I finally started doing some research, and they can. It's called cloud seeding.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So they can actually create clouds. Yeah.
Our friend Ann Eubank, I thought she was a nut. I was just like, come on.
Yeah.
She's talking about, and I said, Ann, I believe almost everything you say. This is nuts. I mean, this doesn't happen. And now she's going, I told you, didn't I? Didn't I tell you like 10 years ago that this was happening? And I'm going, I believe now. I mean, I believe, because here's what I remember from elementary school. Now, this is back when they actually taught things like common things. Okay. So I remember a kid in the 4th grade asking the teacher, what's the difference between a hurricane and a tornado? Because they're both destructive. I mean, they both can tear a town down. And she said, well, this is the way a tornado can just spit out from the sky. I mean, it can. You'll see clouds and you can actually see it form. It's not like, the liberals are saying in Charlotte, North Carolina, but it actually, there will be a sequence where things happen and a tornado just gets down here and then it'll go away and bop off somewhere else. But this is the way it was explained. Okay. A hurricane actually landfall stops it. There's no way a hurricane jumps over towns like a tornado does. So how did it go through the path of Atlanta? Why didn't it tear up Atlanta on the way? It just kind of jumped over Atlanta. And then
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't.
I know. I mean, I know exactly.
And to think about it, the track was going through Atlanta and then it all of a sudden took a big hook to the left, and I'm just like, okay.
Come on, man. I mean, so someone with common sense, that made no sense.
Yeah. Well, the good news is I now have enough knowledge and experience in life that I don't let this stuff bother me anymore. So I love talking about it, but now I don't let it get to me anymore. I used to long time ago when I was younger, but now it's just like,
I remember both my granddads saying, if it wags its tail like a dog, and if it barks like a dog, it's a dog.
It must be a dog.
And exactly. I believe, because that's common sense, right? Oh, now, if it meows, if it purrs, if it doesn't, it's a cat. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
So, but now we have people who think they're a dog and they think they're a cat. I know at Albertville High School, they had to put some sandboxes out there for people in the restroom that thought they were a cat.
Same thing at Fort Payne High School. Mm-hmm. Now, Donna, help me here.
I'll try.
In a way, I could get, a woman liking a woman or a man liking a woman. I can get that, right, to an extent, obviously. I cannot understand why a person wants to be recognized by anything other than a freaking human being. That is psycho. There is some serious psycho stuff.
There's issues, and I get my kids some Christian help. I mean, I really would. I wouldn't take them just any psychiatrist. I would seek one out who believed the Bible. I would seek because I'd want my kid helped. I don't want my kid thinking they're a cat.
Right.
I mean, I just don't. How about the grown-up woman? Okay, here's a woman. Did you hear the woman who fell in love with her tree? I'm going to send it to you. I got to send this.
You're kidding me, right? Fell in love with a tree.
Fell in love with a tree.
Oh,
Okay,
my
send Gunny. I want to make sure I send this to you. Send Gunny, woman who fell in love with a tree. Okay, I'm going to send this to you. So she was interviewed about this. And so they asked her, like, how could you be in love with a tree? And she said she felt a sexual attraction to a tree. So
Yeah.
if that were my daughter or my granddaughter, I'd be all over that. I'd be like, look, sweetheart, I love you. You know that. I love you no matter who you're in love with, but let's let it be a who, not a tree. Okay, you can fall in love with Charlie Manson. I'll talk to you and we'll send you for help if you fall in love. And that was another thing. Remember the girl that fell in love with Charlie Manson and Charlie was going to marry her? I wondered about the mother. I mean, I just, if my daughter comes in and says, Mom, I'm engaged. I've got a daughter. Mom, I'm engaged. Well, I'm going to be happy until she tells me it's Charlie Manson. and I'm going to be like, is this a joke?
Yeah.
What are you telling me? Yeah. Okay. So was the mother happy with this? I mean,
it's no telling.
I mean, aren't there things that, okay, as parents, now we've talked a bit about abortion and women are heroes to me who, they go in and have a baby and they let them be adopted and all that. But if you think that you can't, like raise your kid the right way, to not like, and there are people who've had babies right now. They're going to let them decide whether they want to be a girl and a boy when they turn 18. So what does that kid live in total confusion until they're 18?
Here's the thing, and you said it. You were talking about, if it was your granddaughter wanting to be a cat or whatever, and you're saying, no, we're going to fix that, or
I love you. Right? I love you.
Right. See, that's the thing. Liberals think what love is this cushy, feely stuff, right? Emotional, whatever. But true love means that you love that person enough that you're going to help them not hurt themselves or not. That's what true love is. That's the love that God gives us. He loves us so much, he's going to let us make mistakes so we can learn from it.
And I have learned, yes.
Yep. And see, he doesn't have to do that. He could be this cushy, lovey-dovey God and go, okay,
I'd never learn a thing and I'd still do it over and over again.
I'd still do it over and over again. Yep. That's the difference. And there's how can a normal person engage with another person that really has psychological, issues? I don't think we can to an extent. I'm not trained. I know. But so that means you got to get them help. And you can't say, well, do you want to? You just turned them off. You don't say, do you want to? You go, get your butt in the car. I'm taking you somewhere. That's how you do it.
So, this is a good scenario here. Okay, so let's say you and your better half and me and my better half, we all decided to go to Niagara Falls. Okay, I'm so busy taking pictures and I crawled over the fence like a moron and I'm about to fall off and you yell at me and grab my arm so that I don't fall over the falls, right? Wouldn't that be the right thing to do? Or are you just going to sit and watch me fall off of Niagara Falls? Well, there goes Donna.
There goes Donna.
And you'd probably have to yell at me because it's pretty loud over there. Like when the falls are. I mean, I wouldn't expect you to go, hey, Donna. I would expect you to yell at me. Okay.
Yep.
I would appreciate you yelling at me so that I don't fall off of Niagara Falls. So I appreciate that. So people go, no, let's just gently. Like I've seen cop shows. Now I like the cops that yell and scream at people and say, stop. I like those cops. But there are some that go, I'm going to take you to jail. Okay. Why do you have to say that? Why do you have to say, okay? You've done something bad. You've killed somebody. You've molested somebody. You've done something crazy. I'm going to yell at you and I'm going to say, get in the car now. I'm not going to ask you if it's okay to take you to jail. That's why I couldn't be a cop.
Yeah, talking about you going over the rails. Mm-hmm. One of the main reasons I'd grab you is because I don't want to go through the hassle afterwards. Have to go through, get interviewed by the news and everything else. That's why I'd grab you, going, "Hey, I
wouldn't want the cop coming facing investigators and asking me, why did you let him go off the falls?" Exactly. Couldn't you have yelled? Couldn't you have grabbed him by the arm? Of course, you'd probably pull me over there with you because But anyway,
now if I was a leftist, I probably would have got the attention of the crowd. Everybody else, hey, look, watch her, watch, she's fixing to fall.
Let's do a selfie of Donna taking off.
Yeah.
But there's just sometimes you have to get a little loud.
You do. Well, let me ask you this. I know the answer to the question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Did you ever get yelled at when you were a kid?
A lot, yeah.
I'm just saying. Well, there's a reason behind that.
I know not to put my hand on the stove when the stove is turned. I know not to put my hand on the knife of the stove. I know not to do that. I know that if there's boiling water on the stove, I don't need to grab it, especially if I'm a little kid and I can't reach it. It's going to fall on me and it's going to scald me.
And I know not to walk around the house at 3 years old with a butcher knife in my hand, right?
I kind of know that. Yep. So I have some concerns. Okay, so I have a niece who has like 4 boys. They'll prowl in your house. They'll go on. And I love kids. Man, I can't wait to be a grandparent. But what I'm talking about is there's no instruction with these kids. They're just like it, whatever they want to do. I bought Phil this collectible car. He loves 57 Chevys. That's his thing, 57 Chevy. And so I bought him a car model. This kid actually tears it up. I almost tore him up. I mean, it was just like, and his mother sat there and watched him do it. I say that a lot. I say parents, and this kid actually gets marbles, and I have this sliding glass door. He started actually throwing. I had him in a plant. He takes him out of the plant, and he's 4 years old. He's much bigger, too old to do this. So he gets and just starts just throwing them at the sliding glass door. And I looked over at my niece, and she didn't do a dang thing. So I just walked over and said, "I can't let you do that." Well, she was ready to go when I said that. So, but I was that way with mine. I didn't want to raise a sign that people dreaded seeing me come to their house.
Oh,
I mean, and people would say, "You must whip him every day." I'd say he's probably had 2 little spankings in his whole lifetime. It's just that when I said something, I meant it. And so he knew that. He found out my head was harder than his.
I'm pretty sure. Well, here's how you know as a parent that you raised your children correctly. My 2 kids is an example. As they were growing up, right? If we had neighbors or friends that would keep our kids while Lynn and I went on vacation or something like that, right? And you come back, they didn't want me to take my kids home. That's how they loved our kids, because
common sense, right?
Well, my kids understood what respect was for parents and listening and those kind of things. So they would compare my kids with their kids, right? And that's when they was able to see, like this one great friend of mine, I still talk to him today. He had 2 sons, and one of them, they use that, what is it, ADHD or terminology, right? Whatever that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, this kid was really messed up, just unbelievable. And so when I brought my kids over to his house with us, right, I remember my son coming to me. He's probably, he would have been He would have been 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes up to me and says, Daddy, there's something wrong with that kid. And I went, yes, it's okay. Well, I don't want to play with him. That kind of thing.
Dangerous. It's something not quite right. Yeah.
Well, I instantly felt sorry for him. Not only the child, but the parents too, because this kid would just blow up, just throw these tantrums, just incredible.
I don't believe in ADHD. I just don't believe in that. Here's what I think. And I'm saying this because I have a cousin who has a kid, and this kid was treated like an adult his entire life. They never let him be a kid. They let him make decisions on breakfast. They let him make decisions on everything, and he wasn't old enough to make decisions. And they would let him do that. You have to. I'm just telling. I'm not an expert at this, but I'm just telling you from my own life. Had I made the decisions instead of being coached into making the right decision, I'd be dead in the gutter right now.
Well, let me ask you this question, which goes along the same lines. How many times did your parents ask you what you wanted to eat?
They never did. I ate what was on the table. They did when they moved.
They didn't say, "Oh, what do you want to eat tonight?" Or no.
Now,
It was prepared. You sat down and ate. Of course, I had 5 brothers and a sister, so there were 7 kids, right? So it's like pigs in a trough, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So when my parents decided to move from Oxford to Geraldine, they did not ask me my opinion. They didn't ask me if I wanted to go. I didn't want to because I had all my friends in Oxford, and I was like 14 years old when we moved up to Geraldine. So they didn't ask my opinion. It was just, we're going. I could have had a temper tantrum, got my rear end beat, but what I'm saying is I knew not to ask. We were going. That's just the way it was. And I've seen people on HGTV look at their kids and let the kid choose the house they were going to live in. I was never consulted. They never asked me.
No.
Now I got to choose the color for my room, but as long as it was something.
Yeah, but that's different. But no,
parents
did parents things, and kids did kid things.
That's what it needs to get back to that. We need to get back to that. I'm seeing some young people do that now, and I'm seeing some glimpse of a good future. I'm seeing that now. I think it's because their parents were stupid. And so they figure their parents were dumb, so they want to do better. Okay, we're going to have to go. How can folks find out more information about you?
I'm on Getter. I'm on X, Rumble. I have a Rumble channel with my podcast videos. And, of course, my podcast, The Patriot Cause, has been around since 2020. Really talk about the Constitution a lot, talk about, different political views, communists, atheism, just everything. Talk about God, Jesus Christ, you name it. And it's what's really interesting about it real quick is a podcast, once it gets going, is going around the globe now. I mean, there's people in countries I can't even pronounce that are listening to me. So that's really cool.
Gunny, we got to go. Thank you again so much for being on the show with me. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much. And thank you guys so much for watching. You make my day. Remember, send emails to Donna@donnasedge.com. Donna@donnasedge.com. See you next time.